if you've been on Twitter recently, in the last few weeks, you'll have seen that Elon Musk has been especially busy and especially vocal over various issues for which he couldn't reasonably believe to have enough expertise or knowledge on subjects. Things like the situation of grooming gangs in the UK and whether there should be a national inquiry or whether the British Prime Minister is suitable to be the head of the UK government. Even the things like wildfires in Canada and the actual operations being conducted by the firefighters and both the city and state governments. What's actually going on? Why is he being so vocal? Why is he actually inserting himself and using his platform to put so much pressure on so many people, and not just either through him directly or by getting his army of muskrats to amp up the pressure on certain things? Why is he doing things like suggesting he's going to give £100 million to British UK Party Reform UK to fight the election and become the next government in the UK? Why has he decided to support the AfD party in Germany? Is it out of the goodness of his own heart? Does he care about these subjects? Is he really interested in what happened to young horrible things that happen to young girls in the UK as a result of these horrible gangs of men? Or is there some other motive? It's all about money. It's all about just his fame and his notoriety. Excuse me. I think he's not doing that because of his own heart. It is for other reasons, more selfish, more narcissistic. If you look at his early life as a child in South Africa, he just seems to have been mollycoddled and by his mother, who claims that she identified him as a genius who could see the world in a way that no one else could see, and she just wanted to recognize it and to give him the nurturing, the mentoring, the training that he absolutely needed so he could change the world. Certainly for the teachers who have spoken about him, they said they don't remember him being that remarkable, and even being quite negative about him. And certainly his other school kids haven't been too positive about him, or too flattering towards him. Sometimes really negative and making actually some quite serious allegations about him, which I won't repeat. So he grew up in apartheid South Africa in a wealthy family, so he was already a very, very privileged child. There's always a lot of things that he had that no one else had around him, and it feels like it's just filtered into his adult life. He is now a grown man with the mind of a teenage boy. When you look at the way he talks to people online, even in public, he seems to be just trying to be the center of attention, trying to be the one everyone talks about. Like he's the class clown, basically. It doesn't matter if they're slagging him off. It doesn't matter if they're attacking him. But the fact is they're talking about him. That's the most important thing for him, in my view, being one that everyone talks about, whether it's just the few people on social media, on Twitter, or on YouTube, or all the way up to the big legacy media broadcasters and international governments and politicians. This whole idea that has been cultivated about him being some sort of genius is gross, but in one way it is actually kind of true. In two aspects it's true. One is he's a genius opportunist. He's been able to position himself so well over the years to make lots of money without necessarily being the one who was the reason for that money. With Zip2, he was the chief technology officer, I believe, and did a lot of the coding, but apparently his coding needed to be rewritten because it was so bad. When he created X.com, it was a similar thing with coding, I believe, but also when the company merged with Cofinity, he was a CEO. Apparently he was so bad that he was ousted in a boardroom coup because the people were worried that the company was going to go under. And he still made a lot of money when and that company was eventually sold to eBay as PayPal. And then, of course, you look at the way he used his money, leveraged his early investment in Tesla to become the head of Tesla. He wasn't a founder. He wasn't the first investor. He was just an early investor who invested a lot of money. He saw the potential, and that's certainly a kind of genius. And Tesla did make electric cars mainstream, but they're electric cars. It's an old technology. Was it really any big advances Tesla made, or was it advances in batteries that other people made? Was it just a very timely convergence, and that he was able to promote the brand as a viable alternative? So he does deserve credit for that, whether you like electric cars or not. That is an absolute fact. Tesla's made electric cars a mainstream technology that other companies have tried to ape. Another aspect of him as a genius is self-promotion. People treat him as this great visionary. It's incredible, almost akin to an Einstein or an Edison. Articles about all the inventions he's that have his name attached to them. What has he invented? He didn't invent the electric car. He didn't invent space rockets. NASA and the Russians have been building those for years. Even the Europeans have them. He's currently building this thing called Starship, which keeps blowing up, and for some reason all his muskrat friends think that's amazing, and that is wonderful to see all this money go up in smoke, whereas the United Arab Emirates have got rockets into orbit, and India's got rockets into orbit. The Chinese have a space station in orbit at the moment. So what exactly is he doing that's so revolutionary? It's not. It claims that it's capable of interplanetary travel. It's not. It can't get to low Earth orbit, but also it's not even big enough to get interplanetary travel. So the claims he's making, somehow he gets people to believe these claims. But then you look at his other companies. The Boring Company claims to have revolutionized tunneling. Is the Boring Company being used for any of the big tunneling projects around the world, like with HS2 in the UK? Or any of the big road tunnel that's being built in, I believe, connecting Germany to Denmark, I can't remember. Neuralink, there's been all sorts of criticisms about the technology, whether it is particularly advanced or even safe or even useful. Certainly he's claimed, rather than just claim this will help people with disabilities, with cripples who can't walk, can't use their arms, who can help them actually regain function. He's talking about things like transferring your consciousness and telepathy, which it's ridiculous. Starlink, just a lot of small satellites that seem to be most useful for gaming. And then there's the visionary side of him. He claims that a full FSD is going to change how cities operate, even though his full self-driving doesn't work. The Cybertruck is supposed to revolutionize trucking in America, and it's just dreadful. And the Optimus robot, but he believes it's going to bring an age of abundance for some reason. The Hyperloop wasn't even his idea. He just came up with a name that doesn't even make any sense. The tunnels he claimed would actually revolutionize transport and solve traffic jams. Clearly they won't, and they're just road tunnels anyway. Then, of course, there's these claims about using Starship to colonize Mars, something that is completely pointless and not feasible anyway, as has been debunked by so many people. And then recently, he's become actually quite, I guess, tangentially successful in politics. He backed Donald Trump. He even though he said he wasn't going to support any candidate, he decided to put all massive amounts of money into the Trump campaign. Trump won, and now he's riding on the coattails of that with the conservative MAGA section of American politics. He's claimed that this new organization called DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, is going to be able to cut $2 trillion from the US federal budget. Of course, so far we still haven't heard what those cuts are going to be, how they're going to be implemented, what impact they're going to have on the US economy as a whole, because it's not just about cutting budgets, because that takes all sorts of things out of the tax base. And I think that because of that success of with the Trump campaign, which so many people thought was going to be a massive failure, has emboldened him, and that he now believes he's not just a tech visionary, he's a social visionary. But it is still the same basic class clown, teenage boy, trying to be noticed, trying to be the one everyone talks about. It doesn't matter what the subject is. A lot of the time he just retweets something with 100% or yes, this is amazing. This is the. He doesn't even offer insights really. And then of course we've got the most recent nonsense about gaming. In the past, he claimed that he was a semi-pro Quake player in the 90s, and he was one of the best in the world. And people who were actual professional, semi-professional gamers at the time playing Quake, some of them remember him, I believe. They don't rate him. They don't seem as any good. He's claimed to be one of the top 20 Diablo players in the world. And again, that's been questioned. And then recently there's this whole thing about a game called Path of Exile 2, a game that was only released in December, where he has claimed he's got to level 97, which people who have analysed his gameplay and actually know what they're talking about have said couldn't happen unless he was playing for 24 hours, 40-hour stretches at a time in to get the level he is at now. And the accusations that the accounts for both the Diablo and Path of Exile 2 are actually being used by other people who are paid to level up his account so he can actually claim to be the best player in the world. He's been called out, especially by a guy called Asmongold, a Twitch streamer and gamer. And it's got so bad that Musk had to throw a hissy fit and removed his blue check, which is paid for. So there is that. But also leaked a bunch of DMs, tried to humiliate Asmongold, tried to claim that Asmongold was being controlled by editors or whatever, even though those editors are actually Asmongold's employees. This is really is the dumbest controversy. And weirdly, this could be the thing that turns people against him. Because gamers are very precious about gaming, and they don't like people sort of making fun of their thing. People will do. Gamers can be overreact and be quite petty about this, but this might actually be a good thing in the sense they actually start calling him out for being a liar and actually be able to prove it. But ultimately, it just reminds me of kids from my teenage years who claimed they were really good at martial arts and they went to ninjutsu classes and blah blah blah. It's the mentality of a teenage boy who just wants to be the center of attention, who wants to be the one peacocking, strutting around. Everyone thinks he's cool. Everyone thinks he's amazing. That everyone's talking about him. Everyone's looking at him. Everyone's envying him. And certainly there are many people who do that. You just have to look at comments people make about him on Twitter and Facebook. They adore him. He has an absolute hardcore of adoration. The question is, though, is he going to continue? He now has to deliver on his promises, $2 trillion in tax cuts from this silly non-government department. He now has to he can't have many more Starlink explosions before people start thinking, this isn't right, this is not progress, this is failure. And he's got to start delivering on these visions he has, or as people turn against him. And like I say, weirdly, it could be video games, and this is this petty nonsense about being the great gamer. That could be, weirdly, of all the things he's done, all the things he said, all the billions he's wasted of US taxpayers' money, it could be the gaming thing that really exposes him and turns people against him. And I say, fingers crossed.